Guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. This is for the week of February 6th, 2025. The current character challenge is Apokolips Darkseid. That is a 1 week repeat. The required characters for him are Bane, Nightwing, and Wonder Woman, who are available at the silver, bronze, and silver levels, respectively. If you're looking at the lowest tier, you can get each of them. His passive is Black Racer, which is his basic combo has a chance of summoning the Black Racer, who causes random unique effects upon his opponent. He's got 1,100 attack, 1,400 health.
Yeah.
I'm misspeaking a lot today. He was last available on January 25th, 2024, on the 24th of January.
Yeah. So decent high-end stats, 1,100 and 1,400 is pretty good. When he was introduced, they were, top of the heap. When they say basic combo, it's a little bit ambiguous and a little bit misleading. It's combo ender only. And the combo ender effects can be either bleeding, which is damage over time and increased damage. Cursed, which means unblocked hits are 100% crit until tag out of the one who's cursed, so Darkseid's teammate can take advantage of this effect. And 3 is lifesteal, taking health 15%.
Yeah.
So the ratio of how often it happens is for out of every 6 times, 3 of them are bleeds, 2 of them are cursed, and 1 is lifesteal.
Yeah, so it's a 50% chance of bleed, a 1 in 3 chance of curse, and a 1 in 6 chance of lifesteal.
Right. So bleed, it used to be, so at one point, Apokolips Darkseid was better. He got nerfed, actually. The bleed used to last until he tagged out, and it made him super powerful. But that was nerfed in a previous update a long time ago. His special 2 has splash damage. It doesn't include the first hit, so it's around 25% of the later hits. So it reduces still like maybe 23% because the first hit does so little of the overall damage. And surprisingly, his stated special 2 damage is not reduced for having that effect.
Yeah.
So when you use him like we're using him right now as a special specialist with Tantu Totem Master's Death card, you can lean into the splash damage with Fourth World Mace, kind of fun, especially if you can manage to trigger his combo ender curse effect. And what else? One previous loadout we tried with him was, besides Fourth World Mace, was Quake Engine. That would boost his special damage by 50% against an opponent with less than 1 bar of power. And, of course, with an opponent that has more than 1 bar of power, there's a chance that you steal the power anyway and bring it down to less than 1. The last time we were playing with him, we used Claw of Horse to handle Astro Harness. And one of the questions we were asking ourselves is, well, is it really efficient to use his 3rd slot for just the chance of facing 1 potential gear on the opponent? And so we're playing a little differently now. And we've got the ultimate sort of gear for characters who effectively can only knock out on the last hit is Enchantress Companion gear.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest problem we see is that exactly what we talked about, why he's got Enchantress Companion gear, compare it to last week's Earth 2 Flash. For all practical purposes, Darkseid Special 2 can only knock out on the last hit. First hit, very weak, and that can knock out the opponent, but they have to have really little health to start with. The rest of the hits are in quick succession, and only the last one of those can knock out an opponent. So that's why we've got Enchantress Companion gear. Same problem. That Earth 2 Flash from last week had the same problem, but at least Earth 2 Flash had a strategy for overcoming it by relying on Special 1 instead. And you can see how effective that was. Darkseid, he doesn't really have a workaround. His Special 1 is subpar. It loses the last hit if the opponent blocks, and the second hit cannot knock out an opponent. That's one of the few times where you have a character with a Special 1 that has any of the hits that aren't able to knock out the opponent. Combo ender for Cursed to guarantee crit hits is only 1/3 of the time. Now, bleed to boost damage, you get a 20% boost. That's half the time. So there's no great consistent way to boost special or Darkseid Special 1 enough to knock out a decent comparably matched opponent. His basics are slow. They can be interrupted by special if you're facing him. The AI won't do this, but we will. And we've got a fun video where we kept him big during his Special 2 because of triggering Ultra Flash's Bullet Time passive in the middle of it, which you can't do anymore.
Yeah.
Because his passive no longer does. But bonus is, right at the beginning of this video, I don't know if you noticed, There's footage where Darkseid comes in large because his Special 2 was interrupted, not by Ultra Flash, but by Batgirl saving her teammate. He stays large and tags out. And when we eventually tag him back in, he starts off huge.
Yeah,
which is fun. Yeah.
We are 41 weeks into sort of an uncharted territory where it's mostly looking like what the cycle used to be, but at the start there was an alternating new and old characters. Next week we expect to see Arkham Knight, the Arkham Knight Catwoman, and in a couple weeks we'll sort of see if they're going back to alternating in enough time to fill out the rest of the missing challenge characters. Right. And, we'll just keep an eye on that.
Right.
It
so
won't necessarily mean anything.
After, like, the next 2 weeks are going to be sort of something to watch for. Yeah.
Worth paying attention to, at least. This week's multiplayer reward is the Tantu Totem. It just starts out as the Totem. Or Totem, I guess. Yeah. There's no the, in case you thought that was part of the name. The effects are a 30% crit chance on specials, 35% of maximum power on tag-in, restore 100% power for special if enemy was KO'd with it, and the evolved ability, which is get 100% power back for special if enemy took no damage. It's last available on the 4th of July 2024. We expect to see Scarecrow's ventilator mask next, and everybody who spends any time with us should know that this is just by far the best gear in the game. Yeah. It totally changes how you play.
Yeah, so this is the week, unlike every other week, where you have to play. Even if you can't do very well, it is totally worth spending all your time this week to make sure you get at least one copy of it.
If it is at all possible. This is a week where you...
Yeah. This is inarguably the single most important piece of gear. Not only did it shift the game from basic damage to specials, it changed how specials and power were managed. It made some characters with useless passives amazing. So crit chance boost on both Special 1 and Special 2 is great. Usually you only get one or the other. The next 3 abilities are what makes it so important.
Yeah.
Even one, I think, of each of those would still make it a good gear. So when maxed out, you get 1 full bar of power on tag-in. Fast power generation, always good.
Yeah, that would be good, but not incredible. Yeah. Like, it would just be really good.
Sure, that would be amazing, like as a single ability. Getting full power if you knock out the opponent with a special, also amazing.
I think that's like the game-changing one, to be honest. Like, that alone would still change the way that you played the game on average.
Yeah. And what makes it even better is getting full power back if enemy takes no damage is really an easy way to handle Astral Harness.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? Yeah. The idea is that, there's a bunch of like blinks and other stuff like that, right? And the worst thing with just the second ability would be to somehow get your special eaten, right? For it to not go through. And the fact that if your special gets eaten, as long as it doesn't deal damage, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before Tantu Totem existed, with specials, one of the keys to getting full value for it was getting the most amount of splash damage, which was the best way to leverage the power you had into the greatest amount of total damage against the opponent. So if you're doing Special 2s, because it took a while to get 2 bars of power, it made sense to give up a bit of damage to the opponent in front of you in order to do more splash damage overall.
Yeah.
So Tantu Totem changed that by making it a priority to do more damage to the opponent in front of you, so you make sure you knock them out and you get all your power back.
Mm-hmm.
It has also completely changed the game for those characters, like I mentioned earlier, who have a passive that requires you use power. Bounty Hunter Lobo, right? His passive was useless before, where you'd increase the damage and damage over time and duration of it. The more Special 2s you use. How many were you using before Tantu Totem?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, New 52 Wonder Woman, who is S tier because of this, because she can generate so much power. With Tantu Totem, when she spends it, she gives it to her teammates. Amazing. So it has changed the entire face of the game. If you have a chance to get this gear this week, get it.
Yeah. So there we go. Moving on to the store, we have the Arkham Knight Catwoman pack for only $12.99.
Yep.
So that's the clue to next week. It doesn't come with credits, but it is priced accordingly. I think ultimately, if you're only looking for one copy of a character, that getting it cheaper is probably better, right?
You almost forgot. $12.99. It's Canadian dollars.
Oh yeah, it's only currency that matters.
Only currency matters, especially now.
You're right.
As a Canadian, in the middle of this tariff, not tariff war, this uncertainty and chaos, it is the only currency that
That's
matters.
true. When it was the biggest moment to say it, I actually almost missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. We also have the Metropolis pack for $24.99 Canadian. And this time I'm going to say it's the only currency that matters.
Yeah. But the characters in it don't really matter that much. They're all available in store. Superman, Crypto Lex Luthor, and Doomsday.
Yeah.
So not a great deal. Better off using power credits. We've got a second week of the character bundle Darkseid War. I think I forgot to mention last time it was Apokolips Darkseid and Rebirth Jessica Cruz.
Yep. Moving on, Phantom Zone is finished. It's in its second week of being off, so we expect it to be back next week and to have 2 weeks on cycle. Fight 62 is still broken. Last weekend's breakthrough for golds was Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Lobo. This coming weekend should be Lex Luthor, Batman, and Doomsday. There's a link in the description to a thread in the Injustice Mobile subreddit from Devlin16.
That's funny. It just occurs to me. If you swap up Batman for Superman, that would be the Metropolis pack.
That's true. Yeah, and so you can check that out if you want to look at the breakthrough cycle yourself. And as far as current glitches go, we go into more detail every time something changes, I should say, or on the first episode of every month, which is now.
Today.
Yeah, so you can see the full tutorials for how to do all the glitches in our current working glitches playlist, which is linked in the description of the video. But this is sort of our space to talk about the glitches and add a little bits of extra details in case you want them, because there's some stuff that's come out since the videos that I guess we could like fully re-record them, but it makes
There's no material difference.
Yeah, we just have these little addenda and things to keep in mind that we put here.
And I think the fact that it's had the number of views makes it easier for people to find it when they're looking for it.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be put off by the fact that the video quality is poor and it's old and the date when it was uploaded was old, but we still get people asking, hey, does this still work? So I think we're reaching the right people that way.
So starting with the significant not working glitches, stuff that worked at one point or stuff that you might want that you are searching for, it's hard to search for negative. There's no working glitch for power credits. We talk about this in Season 6, Episode 9 of our P&Q and CNA&T. There was people discussing a glitch that involved two devices being logged simultaneously into one account. We don't recommend any glitches, even if you can perform them, that require two devices or two accounts on one device, just because you can bleed your information between the accounts. You can mess stuff up in a way that is permanent, unfixable, and bad.
And maybe even get your account suspended.
That's true.
Yeah.
In terms of glitches for getting repeated past multiplayer season rewards, nothing working. In terms of getting early multiplayer season rewards, not working in a way that you can exploit. There is sort of a thing where it comes up where it screws you over and gives you worse rewards and then doesn't let you get rewards for your play. And there is sort of steps you can take if that comes up for you, which you should look up, especially in a week like this, right, where you care so much about your multiplayer rewards.
Yeah.
Just to prepare
and
yourself.
You just got to be ready, because if it happens, if you think it's happening, then shut it down.
Yep. There is no glitch to get through Phantom Zone quickly, but you can get through Phantom Zone really quickly with the right strategy.
And we've got some speedruns. We've got a playlist of speedruns if you want to watch that.
Yep. The glitch that lets you get the free energy without watching the video when you click on the add button is not working. Separate from time shifting for free energy, which you still can do.
Right. So it matters less now than it will next week, but the Phantom Zone glitch was working the last time Phantom Zone was around. The challenge reset method that requires Google Play Cloud Save is working, confirmed on the current Apokolips Darkseid challenge. Most common problems. One is that the cloud doesn't appear when it's supposed to. That means you're probably disconnecting too early. The second problem is the opposite. Progress remains even though the cloud appears. That means you're disconnecting too late. Yep. So you've missed the sweet spot of the timing. So you just have to adjust it and get a better feel for it. And it still does work, and it will work if you get it right. Important thing to remember is the challenge reset can remove Phantom Zone progress when the Phantom Zone is present. So when the event comes back, keep that in mind. Make sure that any Phantom Zone crystal progress is progress that you're willing to potentially lose if you're going to use this glitch. Or in my mind, I would much rather finish the Phantom Zone and finish both of them before resetting it.
Yeah.
But the Phantom Zone takes more time if you're doing it at the highest level.
We have a comment in the description. If you are having to re-download a lot of data every time, that just lets you move around data on your device storage instead, which is a much faster and easier process. The breakthrough glitch to let you play it repeatedly is still working. The airplane mode / refund glitch is working. That's good for resetting any random drops, which includes last laugh tickets and packs. It does not work in Phantom Zone because that requires an online connection. It also wouldn't work, I guess, if there's any paid pack that had a random drop, but I think those tend to be less common.
Right.
Yeah. And like before we mentioned, we recommend against doing a variation of this where you switch between accounts instead of clearing app data, just for that same reason. There's a risk of bad stuff happening or being banned.
Clearing app data takes a little bit more time, but it is much, much safer.
Yeah. Time shifting still works in Android for unlimited survivor play and energy recharges. As always, just return your clock back to normal before you finish and start playing again as normal, because it can mess with some of those sort of in-app timers, and it can mess with like challenge cycles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Last but not least, in between the not working and working glitches, we have the promotion glitch where you can promote characters that are still locked. It hasn't had the right conditions since update 2.14 years and years and years ago. It's not testable, it's not usable, but it's never technically failed. So it's in here on a technicality because you can't stop us.
And we like technicalities.
Yeah. To finish up, we'd like to give a huge thank you to our lovely patrons on Patreon. Really just the best of the best. That's Michael Devries, Irvin Ruiz, Hoshi127, and Nora Klimek supporting us on the credited level. We'd also like to give a thank you. You guys are the best, but you're not the best of the best. If you've just watched this video to the end, or supported us in whatever way you support us. And we'll see you next time.
Komoda.